The world is holding its breath. Two global powers, Russia and China, are getting closer, much closer. Not just trade or diplomacy, military cooperation. Their soldiers train together. Their warships sail side by side, headlines around the world. Leaders in Washington, Brussels, other Western capitals. Are we watching the birth of a new military alliance? What does that mean for the rest of us? Answers could define global security for decades. Not sudden, building for years. Quiet at first, now bolder, fueled by shared grievance against the West, especially the United States. They view the US-led order as holding them back, so they push back together, building an alternative, a force to be reckoned with. So what exactly is a military pact? Let's break it down. In simple terms, a military pact is a promise between two or more countries to help each other in times of war. Think of it like a very serious neighborhood watch. If a bully comes to one house, the other houses on the block have promised to come out and help defend it. The most famous example is NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Its members, including the US and many European countries, have all signed a treaty that says an attack on one is an attack on all. It is a powerful deterrent. This is closer to what we see with Russia and China today. They haven't signed a piece of paper that says an attack on one is an attack on all, but their actions speak louder than words. They are cooperating on defense technology, they are sharing intelligence, they are conducting complex military exercises together. They are essentially practicing for a day when they might need to fight alongside one another. The relationship between Russia and China has not always been friendly. In fact, for much of the 20th century, they were bitter rivals. During the Cold War, the Soviet Union and China were two competing communist powers. They even had border clashes in the 1960s. They were suspicious of each other's intentions. They competed for influence around the world. But things began to change after the Cold War ended. The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 left Russia weak and humbled. At the same time, China was beginning its rapid economic rise. Both countries faced a new world dominated by a single superpower, the United States. They started to see they had more to gain by working together than by standing apart. They began to settle their old border disputes, they started to increase trade, they found a common voice in opposing what they saw as American arrogance and interference. Today, Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping describe their relationship as a no-limits partnership. It's a powerful statement. The clearest evidence of the Russia-China military partnership is in their joint exercises. These are not simple parades or photo opportunities. For example, they have conducted massive exercises on land, like the Vostok or East drills. These drills involve tens of thousands of troops, tanks, and aircraft. They practiced everything from joint command and control to coordinating massive armored assaults. Their cooperation extends to the high seas as well. Russian and Chinese navies are now conducting joint patrols in the Pacific Ocean, sometimes sailing very close to the coastlines of Japan or even Alaska. These patrols are a clear message to the United States and its allies. They are demonstrating that their naval power is growing and that they can project that power far from their own shores. Beyond just exercises, there is deep and growing cooperation in military technology. This includes state-of-the-art fighter jets like the Su-35 and advanced air defense systems. In return, China is now providing Russia with critical components such as microchips and drones, which Russia needs for its war effort in Ukraine. This two-way street makes both militaries more lethal. They are learning to trust each other's equipment and soldiers. In Washington, the mood is one of deep concern. For decades, US military strategy was based on a simple premise. It could handle a major conflict with one great power. But now, the growing Russia-China alliance completely upends that calculation. US defense planners are now facing the nightmare scenario of a two-front war. This would stretch American military resources, aircraft carriers, ammunition supplies. In response, the United States is scrambling to strengthen its own alliances. It's reaffirming its commitment to NATO in Europe. In Asia, it's building up new security pacts like AUKUS with the United Kingdom and Australia, focused on nuclear-powered submarines. The US strategy is clear: to counter the Russia-China axis with a powerful network of its own democratic allies. But there are serious questions about whether this is enough. The US industrial base is struggling to produce enough weapons and ammunition. There's also political division at home, which can make it difficult to sustain a consistent long-term strategy. The challenge is forcing a major rethink of American foreign and defense policy. The days of uncontested US dominance are over. For Europe, the Russia-China alliance is not a distant problem. It's an immediate and existential threat. Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022 was a brutal wake-up call. It brought large-scale land war back to the continent. The fact that China is providing economic and technological support to Russia's war machine makes the situation even more alarming. This has fundamentally changed how Europe views Beijing. Before the war, many European countries saw China primarily as an important economic partner. But that is changing. European leaders are now talking about de-risking their economies from China. This has sparked debate about strategic autonomy, developing Europe's own military capabilities. Many other countries around the world see it differently. In the global south, the view is much more nuanced. Many of these countries have their own historical grievances with the West, from colonialism to modern-day economic pressure. For them, the rise of a Russia-China axis is not necessarily a bad thing. They see it as a welcome counterbalance to American dominance. This high-level geopolitical struggle might seem distant, but its effects can be felt in our daily lives. One of the most direct impacts is on the economy. They are increasingly trying to conduct trade in their own currencies, the ruble and yuan, instead of the US dollar. This could lead to higher inflation and increased borrowing costs, impacting everything from your mortgage rate to the price of gasoline. The alliance also creates instability that can disrupt global supply chains. Think about how COVID-19 showed us just how fragile these chains are. A conflict in the South China Sea could be far more disruptive. If China were to blockade Taiwan, it would halt the flow of advanced semiconductors. Russia's ability to weaponize its energy supplies shows how this confrontation can directly impact your energy bills and power grids. There is also the growing threat of cyber attacks and disinformation. Both Russia and China have sophisticated capabilities to conduct cyber warfare. They can also use social media to spread propaganda, sow division, and interfere in democratic elections. The alliance means they can share techniques and coordinate their efforts, making the threat even greater. The growing military alliance between Russia and China is more than just a headline. It is a fundamental shift in the global landscape. It is the most significant challenge to the Western-led international order in a generation. Ignoring it or wishing it away is not a strategy. The first step for the West is to recognize the reality. This is not a temporary alignment, it is a deep strategic partnership. This requires a serious, unified, long-term response. Militarily, the West needs to invest in its own defense and industrial capacity. NATO must be rock solid in Europe. Partnerships in the Indo-Pacific must be deepened. Deterrence is paramount and must be credible. But a military response alone is not enough. The West must also compete on the economic and diplomatic fronts. This means offering a better alternative than the one proposed by Russia and China. Investing in developing countries, promoting fair trade, championing democracy and human rights. It requires engaging with non-aligned nations as equal partners. The battle for influence will not be won on the battlefield alone, but in hearts and minds. This is a defining moment for the West. The coming years will demand unity, resolve, and strategic clarity. The West must prove its model of open societies and international cooperation is more resilient, more prosperous, more just than the authoritarian alternative. The path forward will be difficult and fraught with risk. Paying attention, understanding the threat, acting with conviction. This is the only way to protect the security and stability of the world for future generations. The time for complacency is over.